I never imagined that a simple evening stroll with my golden retriever, Max, would turn into the moment I decided to burn a man's career to the ground. The cop's flashlight blinded me first. Then his barked orders. Freeze. Hands where I can see 'em. As if I were packing heat instead of poop bags. In that split second, with his service pistol drawn and my heart slamming like a bass drop at a trap concert, I whispered to myself, this ends tonight, not with me on my knees, but with him exposed. It was a Tuesday in late summer, the kind of sticky Atlanta evening where the air hangs heavy with jasmine and unspoken grudges. Buckhead's manicured lawns and McMansions hid the rot underneath. The kind of place where folks like me, black, single, scraping by on a junior analyst gig at a mid-tier firm, were tolerated but never trusted. I'd moved here 2 years back after my folks passed, chasing that elusive American dream upgrade from the cramped apartments in East Atlanta. Max was my anchor, a fluffy therapy dog who'd gotten me through the grief. His wagging tail, a reminder that loyalty still existed in this world. Or so I thought. That night, I'd looped the block like always, Max trotting ahead, sniffing at his alias while I scrolled TikTok on my phone, mindless videos of influencers flexing their ring lights and rented Lumbos. The sun had dipped low, painting the sky in bruised purples, when the cruiser rolled up silent as a predator. No lights, no siren, just tires crunching gravel like teeth on bone. Officer Harlan Tate, that's what his badge read later, stepped out, all 6'4" of him, buzz cut and beer guts straining his uniform. His hand hovered near his holster from the jump. Evening, ma'am, he drawled, that fake southern politeness masking the edge. But his eyes, they raked me like I was contraband. What brings you out here so late? I froze, Max whining at my ankle. Late? It was 8:15. Just walking my dog. Officer. Live right down the street, 134 Oak Ridge. He shone the light on Max's tags. Then back to me, lingering on my braids, my yoga pants, the AirPods dangling from one ear. ID. No please. No nothing. I fished out my wallet. Hand steady, because I'd been here before. Too many traffic stops. Too many routine checks that felt like setups. He scanned it, nodded slow. Then, step over here. Mind if I pat you down? For walking my dog? The word slipped out sharper than I meant. Max growled low, sensing the shift. Tate's jaw tightened. Suspicious activity in the area. Gang tags on the playground fence this morning. You fit the description. Description? I was in Lululemon knockoffs from Marshall's. Not a hoodie pulled low like some wannabe blood. But Atlanta's underbelly had been bubbling, shootings in the trap houses off Peachtree. Whispers of cartel cash laundering through the strip clubs. And me, just Sophia Reyes, 28, orphaned accountant with a student loan noose around her neck. The pat-down was humiliating, his gloved hands rough on my ribs, lingering too long on my hips. Clear, he grunted, but didn't holster. Instead, he radioed it in. Female, mid-20s, black, evasive on questions. Possible connect. Evasive? I'd answered everything. My pulse thrummed. This wasn't random. It felt personal, like he'd been waiting for a face like mine to pin his quote on. That's when I did the unthinkable. No tears. No compliance. I want her supervisor. Now. His laugh was a bark, short, disbelieving. Lady, you don't call the shots here. But I did. I pulled out my phone, hit record, and repeated it louder. For the empty street. For the Ring cameras blinking on porches. Supervisor. Or, I'm calling internal affairs myself. He cuffed me anyway, loose enough to breathe, tight enough to bruise, and shoved me toward the cruiser. Max barked like hell, straining his leash until a neighbor cracked her door, phone in hand. By the time we hit the station, the video was uploading to my Instagram story, Walking While Black, captioned with Tate's badge number. The internet's a fickle beast, but it loves a villain. Station was a fluorescent hellhole, coffee-scented and echoing with distant curses. They stuck me in holding plastic chair, cinderblock walls, while Tate typed up his report. Loitering with intent, he called it. Intent to what? Exist? 2 hours ticked by, my mind racing back to the real betrayal that had primed me for this war. It started 5 years ago, when my brother, Javier, got mixed up in the life. Fresh out of high school, he fell in with a ghost crew, low-level hustlers slinging product from shipping containers at the port of Savannah. Javi was the lookout, the driver, never the trigger man. But one botched drop, a kilo of coke swapped for baking powder by some snitch, turned bloody. 2 dealers dead in a drive-by. Chalk outlines on cracked asphalt. Cops raided our spot that night. Javi bolted. But I stayed. They had me dead to rights. Residue on the coffee table. His burner phone in my purse where he'd stashed it. Accessory after the fact, the DA said. I could have flipped, ratted him out for immunity. Instead, I pled guilty to misdemeanor possession, took 6 months probation, and a felony record that killed my grad school dreams. Javi? He ghosted to Miami, sending postcards like we were on vacation. You saved me, sis. Blood's thicker. Bullshit. That secret, the one where I bore his crime like a scarlet letter, festered. Every background check. Every sidelong glance at job interviews. It was his shadow on my back. And now Tate? He was cut from the same cloth. I dug later, married to a ghost crew widow, turning blind eyes for envelopes of cash. Harlan Tate wasn't just profiling, he was protecting his own slice of the pie. The betrayal hit deeper than Javi's, because Tate wore the badge that should have shielded folks like me. The supervisor finally showed. LT. Marcus Hale. Mid-40s. Salt and pepper goatee. Eyes like a shark who'd seen too many plea deals. He uncuffed me, without a word. Watched my video twice on his iPad. Tate hovered. Red-faced. Muttering about escalation risks. Hale waved him off. Go cool down. Harlan. We'll sort this. In the lobby, under those buzzing lights, Hale leaned in. Miss Reyes, you got a right to be pissed. Department's got diversity training coming up. Maybe you join the panel. It was an olive branch, wrapped in bureaucracy. But I saw the play, PR spin. Make me the poster child for reformed relations. I nodded, smiled tight. Sure. But first, tell me about Officer Tate's commendations. The ones from that Savannah bust last year. Hale blinked. How'd I know? Javi's postcards weren't just regrets, they were maps. He'd named names, Tate as the dirty cop who'd let the crew skate for a cut. I didn't have proof then. Just whispers. But that video? It was my key in the door. We settled it civil, no charges, a formal apology letter, and a good faith donation to the local animal shelter, Max's bail. Essentially, I walked out at midnight, Max waiting with a volunteer, tail thumping like forgiveness. But as I drove home, Windows down to the hum of crickets and distant sirens. The hook sank deeper. This wasn't over. Tate had called me suspicious for breathing. I'd make him infamous for bleeding the city dry. The next morning, I called in sick, migraine, the universal white lie, and cracked open my laptop. Accounting wasn't glamorous, but spreadsheets hid sins better than any confessional. I started with public records, Tate's property deeds, his wife's LLC for consulting services, cross-referenced with ghost crew arrests, sudden drops in convictions post 2020, right when Tate transferred to Buckhead. Patterns emerged like veins in marble, shell companies. Wire transfers masked as campaign donations. But proof? That's where the real betrayal twisted the knife. Javi surfaced that afternoon, uninvited, crashing on my couch with a duffel of regrets and cheap tequila. Heard about your dust-up. Soft. That pig Tate? He's the reason I'm still breathing.
Javi.
Ever the charmer, with his tattooed knuckles and easy grin, poured shots like we were kids swapping comic books. He spilled, Tate wasn't just dirty, he was the architect. Years back, during Javi's bust, Tate had tipped the crew anonymously, saved their asses for a vig. And me, my plea deal? Tate pulled strings to bury it deep, ensuring no loose ends pointed back. Why tell me now? I asked, voice flat as the bar top. He shrugged, eyes dodging. Guilt. Maybe. Or cause you're stirring shit.
Don't.
Soft. Tate's got friends in high places, DA's office, city council. You poke. You bleed. But poking was my plan. Javi's intel was gold. Encrypted texts he'd screenshot from an old burner. Tate demanding tribute for patrols. I anonymized it, fed it to a freelance journalist at the AJC, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the watchdog that still had teeth. Deep Throat 2.0. I signed the drop email. By evening, my inbox pinged. Intriguing. Need corroboration. Meet. The Meet was a dive bar in Midtown. Neon buzzing Peachtree Tavern like a migraine. Lena Voss, 35. Chain-smoking firebrand with a Pulitzer for exposing the water crisis. She slid into the booth. Notebook out. Your package? If half's true. Tate's toast. But why you? Personal beef. I sip my IPA. The hoppy bite grounding me. He pulled a gun on me for walking my dog. Called me suspicious. But it's bigger. My brother. I trailed off. The secret bubbling like bile. Betrayal wasn't just Tate's, it was Javi's cowardice. My silence. Let's just say I've carried enough weight for men like him. Lena nodded. No pity, just hunger for the story. We plotted. She'd run a teaser piece. Anonymous sources.
Force Tate's hand.
He'd flip. Cut deals. Maybe rat higher-ups. Controversial? Hell yes. Exposing corruption meant collateral, innocent wives. Kids caught in the splash. But justice in America was a slot machine. Pull the lever. Hope for cherries. Settle for change. Word spread fast. By week's end, Tate's cruiser sat idle outside the station. Whispers like smoke in the bullpen. He cornered me on my block, off-duty. Plain clothes. That guts spilling over his belt. Heard you're making noise. Reyes. Drop it. Or Max takes a drive. Threats now? My blood iced. I smiled. Clipped Max's leash. Walk with me, officer. For old time's sake, we paced the sidewalk. Tension thick as humidity. He ranted about thugs ruining the neighborhood, how folks like you brought it on yourselves. But his eyes darted.
Scheming.
I can make it right. Your record? Expunged. College fund for whoever.
Bribe.
Classic flip. Tate wasn't loyal to the badge. He was loyal to the payout. I laughed, low and real. Too late. Harlan. The story drops tomorrow. He lunged, grabbed my arm, breath sour with panic. Max snapped, teeth grazing his calf. Neighbors' lights flicked on. Phones emerged. Tate released. Cursing, slunk to his truck. That night, I barricaded the door. Javi crashing again. Shotgun under the couch, just in case. The AJC hit like a bomb. Badge of corruption. How one cop shielded Atlanta's underworld. Front page. Lena's byline. My screenshots blurred, but damning. Tate's face pixelated. But everyone knew. Protests sparked, BLM chapters marching the precinct. Karens in pearls clutching pearls on next door. Overreach, they cried. Necessary purge, the activists countered. I watched from my window. Max at my feet. The city fracturing like fault lines. But Tate didn't fold. He flipped hard, sued the paper for defamation. Leaked my juvie record, a shoplift at 16. Sealed but not forgotten, to paint me unreliable. Vindictive ex-con, his lawyer spun on Fox affiliate. Javi bailed at dawn. Duffel packed. Sorry. Soft. I can't swim in this. Another betrayal. Sharper than the first. Blood? Thinner than spit. Hale called me in mediation.
He said.
The room reeked of stale donuts. Tension coiling like a spring. Tate sat opposite. Eyes venomous. Hale mediating with the gavel's ghost. Miss Reyes. This escalates. No one wins. But I had the ace. Javi's final gift. A USB drive he'd left. Audio of Tate haggling payoffs. Voice tinny, but unmistakable. I played it. Tate's color drained. Fabricated. She's got motive. Hale's face hardened. He'd suspected. But complicity? Now it stared back. You knew, I whispered. The room spinning. Hale sighed. World-weary. Plausible deniability. Departments rotten from the root. Take him down. You take us all.
Choice time.
Controversial as hell. I could hit send, FBI tip line primed, or delete. Walk away clean. Tate begged then. Voice cracking. Kids. Sophia. 2 girls. Don't make me the monster. Flip again, predator to prey. But his suspicious had a face, mine. Profiled. Cuffed for existing. I hit send. The raid came at dawn. SWAT boots thundering my street. Tate dragged in boxers. Screaming oaths. Lena's follow-up buried him. Indictments for racketeering. Conspiracy. Hale resigned. For health reasons.
Javi?
Vanished for good. A ghost in truth.
Me?
Cleared name. Book deal offers.
TED Talk invites.
Max got a TikTok sponsorship. Happy ending? On paper. But late nights, I scrolled Tate's mugshot. His daughter's school pics unearthed online. Was I Avenger or Destroyer? The twist gnaws. That USB? Javi planted it.
Sure.
But the audio was doctored. Just enough to convict. Not exonerate. I knew. Let it ride. Justice or frame job. You decide. In America, Revenge tastes like ash, sweet at first, then choking. I walk Max Freer now, but the leash feels tighter. Suspicious?
Nah.
Just surviving. The fallout hit like a Georgia thunderstorm, sudden, drenching, leaving everything uprooted and raw. By noon that first day post-raid, my phone was a war zone, reporters camping my stoop. Death threats pinging from burner accounts. Congrats from old college buds I'd ghosted after the felony. Atlanta's pulse quickened. Hashtags trended Tate takedown and Sophia speaks, splitting the feed like a bad divorce. One side hailed me vigilante queen. The other branded me race-baiting harpy. She provoked him, a blue-check cop wife tweeted. Her profile pic a flag-draped minivan. I muted notifications. Brewed chicory coffee strong as regret. And let Max lick the mug's rim while I plotted Phase 2. Why Phase 2? Because Tate's empire didn't crumble solo. Javi's whispers painted a web. Councilman bribes for zoning favors. DA's office tipping raids. The man flipped like a politician at a fundraiser. Dirty one day. Reformed the next. Always landing soft. I'd carried his sins once. Now I'd unravel the whole damn tapestry. Betrayal's a slow poison. But revenge? That's the antidote with teeth. First call, Lena. Girl, you're viral. CNN wants an exclusive. Her voice crackled over Bluetooth as I drove to the shelter, volunteer shift. Normalcy anchor. But watch your six. Tate's lawyered up with the fraternal order. They're spinning you as unstable. Unstable. The word stung, echoing my psych eval post-Javi's mess. Probation shrinks had labeled me, high-risk resentment, code for don't trust the angry black girl. I gripped the wheel. Prius humming through loblolly pines. Let him. Got more dirt. Meet at the Waffle House off 85. Waffle House, grease-slicked confessional, where hash browns scatter like secrets. Lena slid in at 2 a.m., eyes shadowed, laptop scarred from too many stakeouts. I slid over a flash drive, bank logs I'd hacked from a public terminal at the library, cross-referenced with property flips. Tate's side hustle, foreclosing on crew safe houses, flipping to developers. Kickbacks to Alderman Ruiz. She whistled low. Ruiz, the community hero with the youth center, this'll torch City Hall. Controversy brewed. Ruiz was beloved. Murals of him shaking hands with kids. His barbershop a hub for at-risk youth. Expose him. And those programs cratered. Kids back on corners. Dreams deferred. No one's hands clean. That's the American rub. I justified it over pecan waffles. Tate's greed starved those same streets. Flip the script. Force reform. But Javi haunted the edges. A text at dawn. Heard you're digging. Stop. Soft. Ruiz's family saved my ass post-bust. Family? The word curdled.
Javi?
Who'd left me holding the bag. Now, playing gatekeeper? I blocked him, but doubt wormed in. Was I avenging or avenging wrong? The piece dropped midweek. AJC's investigative team going full scorched earth. Photos of Ruiz's lake house, bought cash. No provenance. Tate named co-conspirator. His flip exposed. He'd rolled on low-level dealers for leniency, then double-dipped with the brass. Protests swelled. Now at City Hall. Signs reading Clean House clashing with Save Our Youth. I joined anonymously. Hoodie up. Max's bandana, a talisman. Chants rose like gospel. No justice. No peace. A bottle sailed. Shattering on riot gear. Chaos. My doing. Ruiz lawyered faster than Tate, but crack showed. Anonymous tip to Lena, his barber chair confessions. Recorded by a fed-up stylist. Harlan handles the muscle. I handle the votes.
Boom.
Indictment followed. Ruiz resigning in a tearful presser, blaming systemic bias. Bias?
Pot. Kettle.
He flipped too, testified against Tate for immunity, painting the cop as rogue. Tate's trial loomed. A circus of suits and subpoenas. That's when the antagonist truly schemed.
Tate.
From county lockup. Orchestrated via smuggled notes. Threats to my firm. Whispers of audit flags on my taxes. Resign or ruin, his proxy emailed, some ex-partner with a grudge. I quit anyway. Freelance consulting my parachute. But the real gut punch? Hale resurfaced. Not as foe, but ally? He cornered me at a coffee clutch for ex-cops. His goatee grayer. Eyes haunted. Sophia. This vendetta? It's eating you. We sat in a strip mall Starbucks.
Ventilate schooling.
Tate's scum. But Ruiz? He funneled money to those kids. You gutted that. Collateral. I snapped, stirring foam to froth. Your department profiled me. Called me suspicious for a leash. Hale leaned in, voice low. I pulled your file. Javi's bust? You took the heat. But Tate wasn't the only string puller. I signed off, kept it quiet to protect the task force. Betrayal squared.
Hale.
The mediator. Complicit in my fall. He'd flipped too, reformer to enabler. Now back to confessor? Why tell me? Max nosed his ankle. Hale scratched absently.
Guilt.
Or cause you're right. Help me flip the script, internal audit. We take down the rot. Save the good. Tempting. Controversial as sin. Join the beast to slay it? Readers would split. Heroic infiltration or sellout compromise. I mulled it over drives to Stone Mountain. Max panting shotgun. Granite faces of leaders staring blank. America. Land of flawed saviors. I agreed.
Tentative.
Hale fed me access. Backdoor to personnel files. Redacted but ripe. Patterns leaped. A dozen officers on the take. Patterns mirroring Tate's. But digging unearthed my twist. Javi. Not victim. Architect. Buried memos showed he'd snitched on rivals for Tate's favor. My plea a cover to shield him as informant. I'd borne the crime. But he was the snake, flipping loyalties for survival. Leaving me the fall girl. Rage boiled. I confronted Hale. My brother's dirty too. Fed you this. He nodded.
Somber.
Javi's been our asset since 19. Your silence? Bought his freedom. The room tilted. All of it my record. The profiling echo, a chain reaction from blood. Tate's suspicious? Just the latest link. Climax brewed in a warehouse off the Chattahoochee. Neutral ground Hale arranged.
Tate.
Out on bail. Swaggered in with goons, ex-crew muscle. Tats faded like regrets. Reyes. Thought you'd run. His flip complete. From cop to cornered. Now counterattacking. Hale flanked me. Wire hidden. It's over. Harlan. Feds are en route.
Lies.
My play. I stepped forward. Voice steel. You called me suspicious. Patrolled my piece for your pockets. But Javi, he sold us both.
Tate laughed. Bitter.
Kid's a rat.
Like you.
Playing hero. Drop the audit. Sophia. We split the pot. Ruiz's slush fund. Untouched. Bribe redux. Tension crackled. Air thick with river damp and diesel. His goons shifted. Hands itching for heat.
Max.
Leashed outside. Barked warning. Hale tensed. I hit record on my smartwatch. No deal. Words hung. Tate lunged, not for me, but the drive in my pocket. Hale's evidence. Scuffle erupted. Fists. Grunts. A chair splintering. I dodged. Phone flying. Capturing chaos. Goon pinned Hale. Tate loomed. Eyes wild. You ruined my girl's future. In that frenzy. The controversial crux. I could end it clean, wait for sirens, or escalate. My hand found a loose pipe. Hefted heavy. Swing. Cripple him. Self-defense blur. Or mercy. Let the system grind slow.
I swung.
Crack on his knee. Howl echoing. Goons scattered as cruisers wailed. Hale's silent alarm. Tate crumpled. Sobbing. Monster. You're the monster. Feds swarmed. Zip ties snapping. Hale rose. Bruised but breathing. You chose wrong, he rasped. Choice? Survival. But as they hauled Tate, his glare burned, not defeated, but scheming still. The raid's echo faded, but the war didn't. Javi called from a Miami payphone. Soft. You broke it all. Ruiz gone. Program's dead. Kids on streets cause of you. Guilt gnawed, but resolve hardened. Hale's audit launched, clean sweep. 10 badges bounced. I testified, voice steady under lights. Max's paw in my lap for calm. Tate's trial, circus. Verdicts mixed. Convicted on racketeering. But Ruiz walked on technicals, flipped to snitch. Immunity blanket. Me, cleared fully. Record expunged by gubernatorial pardon. Book deal landed. Leash justice. One woman's walk to reckoning. TED stage next. Applause thundering. Happy? Surface, yes. Deeper? The pipe swing haunted. Necessary violence. Or my flip to darkness. Twist lingered. That drive? Hale doctored it slightly. To nail Tate harder. Complicity's circle closed. Was I avenger? Or just the next Tate? Ends justifying means? Months blurred into a haze of hearings and headlines. Atlanta's skyline a jagged reminder that justice here was as fickle as Falcon seasons. Glory one Sunday. Heartbreak the next. I traded my cubicle for a loft in Inman Park. Exposed brick and skyline views paid by advance checks. Max's bed scattered like claims on the space. Mornings started with yoga flows on the balcony. Downward dog to the hum of traffic. But nights? They dragged me back to the warehouse echo. Tate's knee cracking under my swing. His curse, monster.
Was I?
The mirror said Sophia Reyes. Poised TED speaker. Diversity consultant for precincts nationwide. But the mirror lied. Deep down, the betrayal festered, not just Tate's gun flash or Javi's ghosting, but my own hand in the grave digging. Hale's audit had been my Trojan horse, but I'd laced it with venom, anonymous leaks to rival Pauls, ensuring Ruiz's youth center shuttered before reforms could save it. Controversial calculus, short-term pain for long-game gain, or petty scorched earth. Kids paying for daddy's sins? Lena became my sounding board. Our Waffle House rituals evolving to rooftop bars overlooking the Beltline. Craft IPAs fizzing with unspoken what-ifs. Your force. Soft, she'd say. Clinking glasses. But force breaks things. Tate's girls? In therapy now. For the blogs.
Blogs.
The underbelly of my fame. Mommy forums dissecting my aggressiveness. Incel dens doxing my runs. One night, scrolling deep, I found it, the twist that cracked my armor. A Reddit thread. r/Atlanta True Crime. Sophia Reyes, hero or hoax? Attached. Grainy audio, not Javi's doctored tapes. But raw. My voice. Warehouse scuffle. Pipe hefted with a hiss. For Javi. For all the shadows you cast.
Wait. Javi?
I'd swung for Tate's greed. Not brotherhood. But the clip looped. Time-stamped pre-swing. Hale's doing? Or mine? Subconscious slip? Doubt clawed. Had I framed deeper? Projecting Javi's abandonment onto every flipper? I drove to Hale's bungalow in Decatur. Azaleas, wilting in the heat. He answered in sweats. Coffee mug steaming. The XLT. Now private eye for hire. Sophia. To what do I? Cut the shit. That audio leak. You. He ushered me in. Den cluttered with case files. A half-built model ship mocking calm. Self-preservation. Tate's lawyers subpoenaed everything. I buried the raw cut. But it surfaced. Someone's gunning for you. Gunning. Paranoia prickled. Tate's trial loomed. Federal courthouse. Jury selection underway. He'd flipped thrice already. Plea for lesser counts. Then recant. Now testifying against Ruiz for reduced time. Schemer to the end. His decisions are Rorschach, heroic whistleblower or desperate rat. We poured files, anonymous poster traced to a VPN in Miami.
Javi.
My blood. My betrayer. Flipping from asset to adversary. He wants payback, Hale said. Your crusade gutted his network. Ruiz was his lifeline, money for intel. Rage. Hot and familiar.
Javi.
Who'd I shielded? Now the antagonist's shadow. I stormed out. Prius screaming to the airport. One-way ticket to South Beach. Max boarded cargo. Whining, I soothed him through the carrier slats. Family reunion.
Boy.
The ugly kind. Miami hit like a fever dream, neon pulse. Salt air thick with vice. Javi holed in Little Havana. A walk-up above a botanica. Saints' candles flickering against roaches. He opened the door shirtless. Guayabera slung over a chair. Grin fading to fear. Soph? What the? I shoved past. Max lunging with a growl. Audio. The leak. You trying to sink me? He backed to the kitchenette. Hands up like surrender.
Nah. Sis.
That's Tate's play, his PI dug it up. I'm out. Clean.
Lies.
His eyes darted to a laptop. Screen glowing with wire transfers fresh. To Atlanta IPs. You're feeding him still. Flipping for cash. Like always. Javi deflated. Slumping to a stool. Survival. Soph. You burned the bridge. I swam the river. Then the gut punch. That bust? I set it up. Needed a patsy to flip on the cruise rivals.
You.
You were perfect. Loyal. The room spun. Botanica incense choking. I'd borne his crime. Felony chains. Lost dreams for a setup? Betrayal's abyss yawned. Why? Voice cracked. Max whining at my ankles. Ambition. Thought it'd buy us both out, me informant. You compensated. But Tate double-crossed. Buried the deal. Left you hanging. Monster?
No.
We all were.
Javi.
Scheming brother. Tate. Badge-wearing leech. Hale. Complicit fixer. Me. The avenger who'd swung the pipe and salted the earth. I didn't swing then. Instead, give me the originals. All of them. End this. He hesitated, then nodded. Final flip. From foe to facilitator. USB in hand. Flights of stairs blurring as I fled. Miami's humidity a shroud. Back in Atlanta. Climax converged. Tate's trial. Day 3. I slipped into the gallery. Incognito in shades and scarf. Hale nodding from the bar. Prosecution grilled Tate. Payoffs. Flips. The warehouse assault. Self-defense, he whined. Knee brace a prop. She came at me, raving about her brother. Javi's audio would have crucified me. Unstable. Vengeful. But with originals, I texted Hale. Leak it now. Full context. Mid-cross. Prosecutor's phone buzzed. Chaos. Sidebar. Judge's gavel thundering. Tate's face crumpled as the raw tape played, not my slip, but his own voice. Post-swing. Finish her.
Boys.
No witnesses. Goons affirmatives. Deleted from Hale's cut. Jury gasped. Tate held betrayal, his own flip exposed as murder plot. Verdict swift. Guilty. All counts. No immunity. Life plus. Ruiz re-indicted. Empire ash.
Outside.
Rain lashed the steps. Reporters swarming. I pushed through. Max splashing puddles. Lena waited. Umbrella shared. You did it. Soft. Clean win.
Clean?
The twist burned. Javi's originals revealed me as partial architect. In the bust's shadow, I'd signed a non-disclosure. Hale's nudge for a payout I never claimed.
Guilt bearing it.
Took the fall willingly. For family myth. Hero or fool. Ending ambiguous. I walked Max freer. Loft sunlight gilding our mornings. Book tour beckoned. Panels on reform. My voice. Amplified. Javi vanished again. A postcard arriving weeks later. Proud.
Sis.
Blood's weird. Hale consulted for my firm. Flips forgiven. But debates raged online. Was Sophia Justice's blade or its blunt edge? Pipe swing vigilantism or righteous fury? My crusades saved streets long-term. New oversight board. Diverse hires, but cost innocence. Tate's girls in witness protection. Ruiz's center raised for condos. Happy? Tragic? Both. In America's gray, revenge isn't catharsis, it's mirror. You look, see yourself staring back, suspicious as hell. And you keep walking.